like you have to make the choice that's best for you. And that's probably been the hardest part for Lenny. And I'm speaking for him, but he wrote a letter in the book, a letter from Lenny, which is pretty powerful, speaking to the person that's going through the cancer. And one of the things he said was, it was so hard for me all the times over the years to say no to my oncologist when he wanted me to do something conventional, because he knows what it does to the body. And by no means are either Lenny or myself trying to tell someone, don't go through chemotherapy, don't do a bone marrow transplant, don't do, whatever. We believe conventional medicine definitely has its place, and it's saved his life twice during this journey. But we also believe that your body does not get cancer because you lack chemotherapy or radiation. Your body gets cancer because something went wrong in the immune system. And so we believe that you have to correct that. You have to get to the root of the problem and, make sure the cancer doesn't reoccur, which is so challenging because when you do these different drugs, there's so much toxicity, and you look at the side effects, you don't even want to read the side effects, but most of them are a secondary cancer.
Wow.
So, here's your doctor telling you, okay, well, you've got this tumor on your spine, and if I don't start radiation tonight, you could be Christopher Reeve tomorrow. Like, you could be paralyzed because it's on your spinal cord. Well, you're obviously not going to want to go eat barley and, do something crazy out of the box when you've got that going on. Right. You're going to take the radiation. But my whole theory is you've got to, once the conventional is done, you've got to figure out how to keep your immune system strong, feed it. You don't want to go back to that lifestyle that got you there in the first place. And that's probably the biggest thing medically that, as his wife and primary caregiver, that I've lived with.
Jeff will be back shortly to wrap up today's message. This is Gabriela, still on the scene today with Top Network Radio. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Empowered Living with Jeff Byrd. If you've missed any part of today's message, you can hear it again online, as well as the entire archive of Empowered Living at www.topnetworkradio.com. Search keyword #EmpoweredLiving. We would like to acknowledge our music partners, Sound Ideas for Corporate to the Max, and Kevin MacLeod for Denver. Any scriptures read during this broadcast are from the New American Standard Version of the Holy Bible. If you would like to learn more about Jeffrey Byrd Coaching, visit www.jeffbyrdcoaching.com. That is JEFFBYRD coaching.com. Do a Facebook search for @CoachingRocks or drop Jeff a line at jeff@jeffbyrdcoaching.com. Again, JEFFBYRD coaching.com. Let Jeff's Coaching Rocks be the building blocks of your empowered success. Now, let's go back to Jeff for the rest of today's message.
Now, when you were having these decisions to make, as you were thinking through the different options, through the traditional and alternative and various things, did you kind of together get to a point where you had peace with that decision going forward, or how did that kind of work? When did you kind of, sense that, okay, this is our decision going forward? How did that work out?
Well, luckily we both have the same faith. So we both believe that God is in control of everything, and we've got to pray about it. We can't just go with what this doctor says or even the alternative doctor says. We typically, in the beginning, how it would go is he would look to me to do the research because, at the time, I'll never forget, Lenny just he's not a computer guy. He's not like going to sit there on the computer and look up stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he doesn't read. He's not a reader. He's a go make it happen kind of guy. He's a builder, a superintendent. He can get 50 people on a job and have the project start from A to Z and be perfect. And he looks at every little detail. But he's not going to read a book about it.
Good thing you have the complementary strengths, so you can make a good, strong team.
Yeah, so I would look up everything and research and read and then just come to him and say, well, I found this. What do you think? And then ultimately the decision is his, it's his body. But, I'd like to think that we both, came to the decision together. But I'd also like to think that I didn't influence him one way or the other. I just simply looked up everything, gave it to him. And then I would always pray, God, please give him wisdom, making the decision that you think is best. So.
It sounds like a lot of peace in those decisions.
Yeah.
Was there a time when there wasn't, when one of you thought strongly one way or the other?
Well, I have to be honest, Jeff. We've been through this 5 times in 17 years. 2001 was his diagnosis, and we're still battling today.
Yeah.
And like I said, he's gone through conventional twice, and he's done alternative things in between. So 3 times we've done really out of the box things. But one time in particular, yes, I was a little nervous not because I doubted him, but because he got on the internet with his little new iPod that our son Jordan and I bought him for Christmas. And I came home from work. This was after incident number 4, where he had a tumor in his abdomen that was 33 centimeters. Oh, wow. And the cancer had progressed from the slow-growing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma to the fast-growing. So this thing came pretty fast.
And that's like the size of what, like a softball?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's pretty big.
Yeah, that's pretty good stuff. Wow.
So I think the doctor referred to it like a grapefruit.
Okay.
So pretty big, pretty scary. And the doctor was, let's go for cure. Let's go for the transplant this time. And Lenny was always intimidated by the bone marrow transplant because that's when you get a donor to donate. But and we had both read horrible things about that. But the stem cell transplant is what Dr. Alberico recommended. Mm-hmm. So you basically have to go through 6 months of chemo, or at least Lenny did. 6 months of chemo, radiation, do as much killing of this thing as possible, get it down to nothing, and then when the body has no cells left, pretty much almost dead, you go in and take the stem cells. As they start producing, you take the stem cells, give them to the Red Cross, they freeze them, you let the body recuperate, which I think Lenny had 2 months, maybe 10 weeks of recuperation from all that treatment. And then they admitted him to Norfolk General Hospital, and he went through 21 days there, 5 days of the highest dose of chemo a human can take. It's called high-dose chemo. I was really mad with God at that point. Because there was just many times that I was like, is he going to make it through this? But anyway, he went through all that. And then when the body can't produce anything on its own, like it did before, it made those stem cells. This time it couldn't. The Red Cross comes in and puts the stem cells that they took from him back into his body, with the theory being, well, now you've got a brand new immune system, so you can fight this cancer. Right. So anyway, it worked for a little while, but not very long. It stayed at bay less than 2 years, and then it came back again. And at that point, he was just, something in him just snapped. He was like, I'm done mortgaging my body to conventional medicine. And he was very polite with the oncologist. He was like, thank you, doc, but no thank you. And so we left, and he didn't even talk to me about it. He actually called his family, and he said, don't call her, don't stress her out. If y'all want to help this time, get online and find me something that is non-chemo related. So I came home from work 2 or 3 days later. I'll never forget it. He's sitting on the couch. He's got his iPad, and he's all excited. He's like, come here and sit down. And I'm like, what is he doing? And he's got this lady's video, and she's probably in her 60s in the video, and she starts sharing her story. It's like an 8-minute video about she went to Mexico because same type of cancer as Lenny. She had the exact same type of cancer, but she couldn't take chemo. She had some kind of crazy reaction. She couldn't even make it through the first round. Wow. So the doctors sent her home and said, we can't do anything for you. So her husband went nuts and was looking up all these different places to go, Germany, Mexico, all these different countries besides ours. Imagine that. So she went to this clinic in Mexico, went through their therapies, and in 3 weeks, the cancer was gone, which to me is mind-boggling.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
And what was really incredible, Jeff, is she was doing this video, and it was 11 years later. So she was still in remission all that time.
Wow.
And that type of cancer doesn't stay in remission for that period of time. So to answer your question, I know I've gone around the mountain to answer your question.
that's quite all right.
But to answer your question, I was a little nervous because now we're going to go to the really unknown. We are leaving the United States of America and we are going to Mexico. And, I've been to Cancun. Lenny and I went there for our honeymoon or a delayed honeymoon, but we were going to Tijuana.
Right.
So
a little different.
And at first I was really nervous, and then I just kept praying, and I was like, God, if this is really what you want to do, like, please show me. And I started to get that peace. It took a little bit, but within 2 weeks, we are flying to Tijuana.
Wow.
And we had family and friends help us with Jordan, our teenager, and our dogs. And we went there, and when we walked in, of course, you can imagine the building. Their hospitals are not like our hospitals. It's definitely different. And he's a builder, so he's looking at everything going, oh my God, the building codes in this place would fail. But I'm just like, I just want to get to the people. I just want to see who this doctor is face to face. And we walked in the waiting room, and I took a picture of this little sign that was on the reception desk. Miracles happen here. And I was like, so done. I wanted to go to the mall the next week.
Right.
And he goes, which was right across the street. And because we couldn't stay in the same room, he had a treatment room with like 22 other patients. And then like right down the hall, there was a big, huge family room for the family. So I had made friends with some of the wives, and we were like going to go to the mall. And I don't know if I should share this part, because the doctor there, if he ever sees this, he might get mad. But I'm going to just share it because
go for it.
everybody was so stressed out in our family, both of our families, about us doing this. They were like, dye your hair black, Andrea. You don't want to be blonde walking in there and standing out like a sore thumb, and dress frumpy, and just all these different things. And, normally you'd be really scared, but I just did not have any kind of fear at all. It's like, God's got us. This doctor's great. The ratings are great. Everything's great. So I wanted to go to the mall. And Lenny's like, you're not going to the mall. Like, you're not going to go to the mall without me. Like, no. So he's in this treatment for 5 to 7 hours, depending on the day. And this was the following week. We've only been there 1 week. And it's 9:30 in the morning. And all of a sudden you hear machine guns, like right out front of the clinic.
No, that's not.
Yeah, it was really bad. I'm laughing about it now because just the reaction that I'm getting ready to tell you that came from him. But so the elevator was 3-sided glass. They shot out the elevator. They shot out one of the main windows, but it was basically a police officer and a drug dealer trying to hash it out. Luckily, the police officer won. Good. But in the meantime, it just happened to be in the street where the clinic was. So I'm rushing down the hall to see if he's okay, and they're all on the floor, and he looks up, and the first thing out of his mouth is, "You still want to go to the mall?"
All right. And what did you say?
I said no.
On second thought.
Yeah, I said no, I don't want to go to the mall. But eventually he took me to the mall so we could just check it out. So Tijuana was definitely an experience, but the people there were amazing. The clinic, we were there for 6 weeks, which at first was a little disheartening because we were told on the phone and all the paperwork and everything, it was going to be a 3-week stay. But once you get there and they look at everything in more detail, then they tell you, oh, wait a minute. And they told Lenny, if you really want a shot at this, you really need to double your time. So his tumor actually shrunk over 50% in 6 weeks. And the doctor was like, really encouraging him to stay another 3 weeks. But it was $5,700 a week. Yeah. And we thank God that we have amazing friends, because every single time we've gone through this, somebody steps up and does a big fundraiser, a GoFundMe, or several fundraisers to help pay for, his treatment, because obviously United States isn't going to cover Mexican clinic treatment. None of the insurances typically cover even alternative things that we do in our own country. It's not covered.
Right.
So ultimately, that was the reason that we really wanted to write this book, is to, it's been on my heart for many years to do it. But the Mexico trip just really put me over because